Welcome Doom fans, and let's continue with our Doom editing. This is what we are going to cover today: the visual mode, lowering and raising floors and ceilings, more on sectors, and textures and pegging. Sorry. Image I'm looking at is very small. I forgot for a second. Well, I did say I am still not a pro at this, didn't I? Right. So with no further ado, let's get into it. Doom Builder. We can also cover the open map thing just as a bonus, since we actually need the map to edit in the first place. I named it Tutorial WOD, which we actually didn't cover last time. Check if everything is okay, or if you want to change anything. We will not. Okay, and there is our map, good as new. On saving, of course, we have to save. The program does crash eventually, or sometimes, I should say. Just press this or Control S to save. First time you save, go in and save map. You will get an option as to where you want to save it. Let's do save map as, just to show you. You will get this, and you will have a folder. Decide which folder you want to save it. I have them under my Doom folder, where I have my Doom WOD, like I showed you in the previous video. I do not need to save as now, so I will avbryt, which means cancel in Norwegian, where I am from. I am using a Norwegian setup on my Windows, but that is beside the point, really. Right, our map. What was our first topic? Oh yeah, visual mode, which is, as I briefly showed you last time, press W or push here to enter it. You have to move around with the mouse a bit if you don't have much on your screen, so you will find our map. Use E, S, D and F to maneuver around rather than the familiar W, A, S and D. Press W to go back to our 2D editing. We have two sectors right now. You will see that when we press our cursor on the top or bottom of your 3D view. Let's call it that. It's not, but that is because we have the main room, and we have the thing that is supposed to become our door. also talk about lowering and raising ceilings. You will need to be in sector mode in 2D. That's one way of doing it. Select the sector. You can alter its height, the floor height, sector height if you have more than one sector inside an area. Brightness, we will get back to that when we cover modes and lighting. But really, the best way I can see to actually, at least for beginners, if you don't know what you're doing, like I do not apparently, lowering and raising stuff is easier when you do it visually in visual mode. So highlight an area and simply use the roll thing on your mouse. They will go up and down. Remember to have a cursor on it or it will not. If you mark your area, you can just by pressing right clicking on it, you can raise it without actually look at what you're doing. This is a non-textured area because we haven't textured that. The program only textures visible. Also outside there is no textures because you're not supposed to be outside. That will just look screwy. Press again to unclick. I'll remember to, there is a button to deselect all, but for the moment, just if you want to select more areas, just click on it. If you want to change textures on multiple areas, for example. Speaking of textures, to have the proper height, which you don't, if you're watching this, don't know about how high that door will be. So we can estimate height. I think that is actually not very. It was probably a fairly good estimate. But instead we can change our, if we right click on a wall or a floor or ceiling, but in this case it's a wall, we have options like impassable, block monsters and so on. We will look at those eventually. But to change our texture, go to the side depths tab, and here you will see we don't have a backside, so we won't be using this, but this is the front side of our texture. We have index, offset, we will work on that eventually. This is the texture we are using right now, since this will only be the seaming of a door, we won't be needing anything else. So when you click on that, we will get a new window with base textures as standard. There are several filters and you can make your own, but we are looking for doors. So let's choose the doors filter. There are many doors. We are going to be using this. This is what I want. This is 64 by 72. Now that we know that, we can, well, select it, click it, and press OK. This looks weird. There's almost 2 doors there. We know that it's the texture is 72 high, so we can visually just go and lower it until we are about there. Well, that looks alright. Let's just check in sector mode if it is in fact 72. It scrolls down in intervals of the oh, for God's sake, grid. So it is in fact correct. However, we have not, well, I feel that it is a bit wide, but let's put in some side panels. They are usually lighted. Let's see, doors, door stop, door track. I'm actually fancying some sort of light stuff. Let's use this one. I fancy that one. But you might notice that it's double wide, and that, well, that's not too bad. But it's double. I want 16. So let's enter 2D mode again. Our current grid size is this, so I can't actually make it any smaller, but if I decrease a grid once, I double the grids. If I now choose grid size and I left click on this line, I chose line defs. I chose it, that was, oh well, and I drag it, excuse me, I right click and drag it, sorry, my mistake. We halved it. I don't want to work on this grid, so let's push whatever shortcut button you have, or just press it in here. It will make no nevermind inside the view mode. Just remember that if you want to change that at any point, remember to change your grid size back to where you edited it from, and not, if I try this now, it will snap back to that, and I cannot snap it back to the middle. It will snap to this and close the loop instead. So right click and drag to snap to the 16 mark, take the grid back, and then it fits snugly into our door. But we have an ugly texture here. We're not going to change these textures for now. They are fine as they are. We're going to use these textures for the first rooms just to not overload your senses. You can change the textures if you're following me to whatever you like. I did when I tried to learn this. But we need this texture here. And you will notice that if we go out again, these textures are middle textures because they have no up or down or anything. But we have split this sector in two parts. We have a lower and an upper. So the textures we need here, these textures, but we need to find them. Go back to base, because this is the textures we're using. They are the same as if I go to all. But let's go to base where we are using those. Here are all the textures for base. But if you notice, above available textures you will find used textures, and this can be large as well, but it's easy to find the texture you want here, at least when you are not using that many. We are using the start 10 164 by 128, which is the height of our room right now. And we press OK and OK. You will notice that it doesn't quite fit into those. But if you mark it and press the up and down arrows, you can sort of fit it in. This is the same as where was it? Offset, I think. But it's easier to visually offset them. That is not the right one. So let's see if we can find the. There we go. It's not exact fit, but it will do. Thing is, if I raise this, not for long, but let's say let's say this was a computer panel or something, then we'll need both upper and lower. So we'll select the start 10. No, this is upper, but in lower we will choose that as well. This doesn't fit either, so let's try and fit this too. If that don't work, doesn't work because it is locked to the upper thing. If that is the case, just unpeg the upper and lower areas. Excuse me. Lower unpeg. Then they will work on separate tracks, as it were. At least it's supposed to. I'm not sure why it doesn't. Did I? It's not supposed to. Oh well, we can work on that later. My mistake. It is not important right now. So, leave it be. That is... Oh, I have to do that because pegging was my... I'm not quite sure why you didn't actually... Hang on. I think I have to lower unpeg. Yep, I have to do that in... Alright. We'll ignore the fact for now that this moves as well now. Now I can... One more time. Upper unpeg then. No? I'm confused. Hang on. Which one did I? Alright. My mistake. This one is what we're editing, so unpegging and moving up. Say what? Why should that be double-sided anyway? This is... unpegged. I'm not going to undo this. It's just... well, yeah, I still move them, I think. I'm just... it makes them fit the area more, I think. No problem, bag. Alrighty. I think I've mostly covered this. I will slightly work on pegging and let you know in the next video. In the meantime, this was your host, the Lazy Gamer, logging off. Bye, guys.